Welcome to C#. C# is an elegant, object-oriented language that enables developers to build a variety of secure and robust applications that run on the .NET framework. You can use C# to create Windows applications, web services, mobile applications, client-server applications, database applications, and much, much more. You will learn about these concepts in the upcoming lessons. C# applications run on the .NET framework. The .NET framework. The .NET framework consists of the Common Language Runtime, otherwise known as CLR, and the .NET Framework Class Library. The CLR is the foundation of the .NET framework. It manages code at execution time, providing core services such as memory management, code accuracy, and many other aspects of your code. The class library is a collection of classes, interfaces, and value types that enable you to accomplish a range of common programming tasks, such as data collection, file access, and working with text. C# programs use the .NET Framework class library extensively to do common tasks and provide various functionalities. These concepts might seem complex, but for now, just remember that applications written in C# use the .NET Framework and its components. Which one is not part of the .NET Framework? The operation system. Variables. Programs typically use data to perform tasks. Creating a variable reserves a memory location or space in memory for storing values. It is called variable because the information stored in that location can be changed when the program is running. To use a variable, it must first be declared by specifying the name and data type. A variable name, also called an identifier, can contain letters, numbers, and the underscore character, and must start with a letter or underscore. Although the name of a variable can be any set of letters and numbers, the best identifier is descriptive of the data that it will contain. This is very important in order to create clear, understandable, and readable code. For example, first name and last name are good descriptive variable names, while ABC and XYZ are not. Which is a valid C# variable name? bad_var. Variable types. A data type defines the information that can be stored in a variable, the size of needed memory, and the operations that can be performed with the variable. For example, to store an integer value, a whole number, in a variable, use the int keyword. Int myAge, semicolon. The code above declares a variable named myAge of type integer. A line of code that completes an action is called a statement. Each statement in C# must end with a semicolon. You can assign the value of a variable when you declare it. Int myAge equals 18. Or later in your code, int myAge, semicolon, and then maybe later somewhere else in your code you can take myAge and set it equal to 18. Remember that you need to declare the variable before using it. Fill in the blanks to declare a variable named num of type integer and assign 42 to it. Int num, semicolon, is declaring the variable. Then to assign 42 to it, we say num equals 42, semicolon. Built-in data types. There are a number of built-in data types in C#. The most common are int for integer, float for floating point number, double for double precision version of float, char for a single character, bool, a boolean that can have only one of two values, true or false, string, a sequence of characters. The statements below use C# data types. Int x equals 42. Double pi equals 3.14. Char1 equals z in single quotes. Bool is online equals true. And string first name equals David in double quotes. Note that char values are assigned using single quotes and string values require double quotes. You will learn how to perform different operations with variables in the upcoming lessons. Drag and drop the correct data types from the options below. Bool A equals false. Double B equals 4.22. String C equals high in double quotes. And int D equals 11. Your first C# program. You can run, save, and share your C# codes on our code playground without installing any additional software. Reference this lesson if you need to install the software on your computer. To create a C# program, you need to install an Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, with coding and debugging tools. We will be using Visual Studio Community Edition, which is available to download for free. After installing it, choose the default configuration. Next, click File, New, Project, and then choose Console Application as shown below. Enter a name for your project and click OK. Console Application uses a text-only interface. We chose this type of application to focus on learning the fundamentals of C#. What is the name of the IDE used to create C# programs? It's Visual Studio. Your first C# program. Visual Studio will automatically generate some code for your project. And these statements right here are some of the code that will automatically be generated for you. Using system, using system.collections.generic, using system.link, using system.text, using system.threading.tasks. Next we have namespace, SoloLearn. Inside of the block, inside of the curly braces of that, we have class program. Inside of class program, we have another block, which is another set of curly braces. And inside of that, we have static void main string args. And inside of that, we have its own block of curly braces. So we've got three different things here with three different pairs of curly braces, and they're all nested inside of each other. You will learn what each of the statements does in the upcoming lessons. For now, remember that every C# console application must contain a method, a function named main. Main is the starting point of every application. For example, the point where our program starts execution from. We will learn about classes, methods, arguments, and namespaces in the upcoming lessons. Every console application in C# should contain the main method. Your first C# program. To run your program, press Ctrl plus F5. You will see the following screen with a black background. This is a console window. As we did not have any statements in our main method, the program just produces a general message. Pressing any key will close the console. Congratulations, you just created your first C# program. Which type of application uses a text-only interface? That would be the console application. Printing text. Displaying output. Most applications require some input from the user and give output as a result. To display text to the console window, you use the console.write or console.writeLine methods. The difference between these two is that console.WriteLine is followed by a line terminator which moves the cursor to the next line after the text output. The program below will display Hello World to the console window. Static void main string args, and in our curly braces here, we have console.WriteLine, and in parentheses and double quotes, Hello World. Note the parentheses after the WriteLine method. This is the way to pass data or arguments to methods. In our case, WriteLine is the method, and we pass Hello World to it as an argument. String arguments must be enclosed in quotation marks. Drag and drop from the options below to display Learning C#. Console.WriteLine, and then in the parentheses we have Learning C#, which is also inside of double quotes. Displaying output. We can display variable values to the console window. So in our static void main string args block, we have int x equals 89 and console.WriteLine parentheses x. That will output 89. To display a formatted string, use the following syntax. Static void main string args. Inside of that, we have int x equals 10 and double y equals 20. Then we use console.WriteLine, and in parentheses, first thing we have is a string x equals, you've got a 0 in curly braces and a semicolon, and then you have y equals a 1 in curly braces. And what that does is it's creating a string with placeholders. The 0 and the 1 are placeholders. So then after that, enclosing double quote, we have a comma, then we have an x, another comma, and a y. The x is going to go into the 0 placeholder, and the y is going to go into the 1 placeholder. So actually not physically x, but whatever the value of x is, and whatever the value of y is going to replace the 1 placeholder. So therefore our output will be x equals 10 and y equals 20. So as you can see, the value of x replaced 0 and the value of y replaced 1. You could have as many variable placeholders as you need. For example, you could have 3 in the curly braces with a comma, and then 4 in curly braces with a comma, and just keep on going for however many placeholders you want to use. What is the output of this code? Int a equals 4, int b equals 2, console.write in parentheses a, and console.write in parentheses b. Well, we're using console.write, not console.WriteLine, so we're going to see the value of a, which is 4, and since it's only right, we're not going to move down to the next line. We're going to stay on the same line, and console.write the value of b, which is 2. So this will be our output, 4, 2, on the same line. Getting user input. You can also prompt the user to enter data and then use the console.readLine method to assign the input to a string variable. The following example asks the user for a name and then displays a message that includes the input. So in our static void main string args block, we have string your name, then we have console.WriteLine, what is your name? After that, we have your name equals console.readLine. And then lastly, we have console.WriteLine. In parentheses, we have the string in double quotes, hello, followed by a 0 placeholder, a comma, and then the variable your name. The console.readLine method waits for user input and then assigns it to the variable. The next statement displays a formatted string containing hello with the user input. For example, if you enter David, the output will be hello, David. Note the empty parentheses in the readLine method. This means that it does not take any arguments. Drag and drop from the options below to take user input and store it in the temp variable. So we've got the statement string temp, and the next statement temp equals console.readLine. User input. The console.readLine method returns a string value. If you are expecting another type of value, such as int or double, the entered data must be converted to that type. This can be done using the convert.toXXX methods, where XXX is the .NET name of the type that we want to convert to. For example, methods include convert.toDouble and convert.toBoolean. For integer conversion, there are 3 alternatives available based on the bit size of the integer. So you've got convert.toInt16, or convert.toInt32, or convert.toInt64. The default int type in C# is 32-bit. Let's create a program that takes an integer as input and displays it in a message. So in our static void main string args block, we have the statements int age equals convert.toInt32, and then in parentheses we have console.readLine with empty parentheses. The next line is console.writeLine, and then in parentheses we've got the string enclosed in double quotes, you are, a 0 placeholder, years old, and then a comma, and then the variable age. So whatever the value for the variable age is, that's going to go inside of the 0 placeholder. If in the program above a non-integer value is entered, for example letters, the convert will fail and cause an error. Drag and drop from the options below to make the following program work. Double N, string x equals 77 in double quotes. N equals convert dot to double x. Comments. Comments are explanatory statements that you can include in a program to benefit the reader of your code. The compiler ignores everything that appears in the comment, so none of that information affects the result. A comment beginning with 2 slashes is called a single-line comment. The slashes tell the compiler, to ignore everything that follows until the end of the line. So // prints hello is just a note to yourself or whoever else might be reading your program. The actual line that gets executed by the compiler, console.writeLine, parentheses and double quotes hello, that's actually going to execute. When you run this code, hello will be displayed to the screen. The // prints hello line is a comment and will not appear as output. What is the output of this code? Int x equals 8 or // x equals 3. Console.writeLine, parentheses x. So do you think it's going to be 8 or do you think it's going to be 3? It's going to be 8 because the 3 is just a comment. Multi-line comments. Comments that require multiple lines begin with / and end with */ at the end of the comment block. You can place them on the same line or insert one or more lines between them. So here we have / some long, the next line says comment text, and the next line says */ So that's basically going to be ignored by the compiler and just read by you. The next line is int x equals 42, and the last line is console.writeLine, parentheses x. Adding comments to your code is good programming practice. It facilitates a clear understanding of the code for you and for others who read it. Fill in the blanks to make the text a comment. So we want to take these two lines, declaring an integer and printing it and turning it into a comment, by, if I can get my, I'm frozen. There we go. / asterisk, asterisk /. The var keyword. A variable can be explicitly declared with its type before it's used. Alternatively, C# provides a handy function to enable the compiler to determine the type of the variable automatically based on the expression it is assigned to. The var keyword is used for those scenarios. Var num equals 15. The code above makes the compiler determine the type of the variable. Since the value assigned to the variable is an integer, the variable will be declared as an integer automatically. What is the type of the temp variable? Var temp equals 14.55. That's a double. The var keyword. Variables declared using the var keyword are called implicitly typed variables. Implicitly typed variables must be initialized with a value. For example, the following program will cause an error. Var num, semicolon, and then the next statement, num equals 42, semicolon. Although it is easy and convenient to declare variables using the var keyword, overuse can harm the readability of your code. Best practice is to explicitly declare the variables. So instead of saying var num, you'd say int num. That's the better way. What is the output of this code? Var n1, next statement n1 equals true, and the last statement is console.writeLine, parentheses n1. Well, that should give us an error because we are implicitly declaring our variable and we didn't give it a value all on the same line. So we should get an error. That's correct. Constants. Constants store a value that cannot be changed from their initial assignment. To declare a constant, use the const modifier. For example, const double pi equals 3.14. The value of const pi cannot be changed during program execution. For example, an assignment statement later in the program will cause an error. Const double pi equals 3.14, and then on the next statement it says pi equals 8. So we're trying to change the value of pi from 3.14 to 8. Well, we're going to get an error. Constants must be initialized with a value when declared. Fill in the blank to make the variable num a constant. const. Const int num equals 2. Arithmetic operators. An operator is a symbol that performs mathematical or logical manipulations. Arithmetic operators. C# supports the following arithmetic operators. Addition. The symbol's the plus sign, and the form would be x plus y. The next operator is subtraction. The symbol is the minus sign, and the form would be x minus y. The multiplication operator is the asterisk symbol, and the form would be x asterisk y. The division operator is the / symbol, and the form would be x / y. The next operator is modulus. The symbol is the % sign, and the form would be x % y. For example, int x equals 10, int y equals 4, console.writeLine, and in parentheses x minus y. That means 10 minus 4, and so that gives us the output of 6. Fill in the blanks to display the result of the multiplication of x and y. Int x equals 42, int y equals 7, int z equals x, and the symbol will be an asterisk because we're multiplying. Z equals x times y, console.writeLine z. Division. The division operator, or /, divides the first operand by the second. If the operands are both integers, any remainder is dropped in order to return an integer value. For example, int x equals 10 divided by 4, console.writeLine, parentheses x. 10 divided by 4 is 2, with 2 left over, so that's just going to output 2. Division by 0 is undefined and will crash your program. What's the output of this code? Int x equals 16, int y equals 5, console.writeLine, parentheses x divided by 5. X divided by y. That would be 16 divided by 5, which would be 3 with 1 left over. And so it's going to drop that 1. It's just going to give us the whole number of 3. Modulus. The modulus operator, or %, is informally known as the remainder operator because it returns the remainder of an integer division. For example, int x equals 25 modulus 7. That's 25 divided by 7. 7 goes into 25 3 times with 4 left over. Well, 4 is the remainder, so 4 is what's going to be the output. When we have console.writeLine x, it's going to be 4. Which operator is used to determine the remainder? It's the plus sign. It's the %. That's modulus. Operator precedence. Operator precedence determines the grouping of terms in an expression, which affects how an expression is evaluated. Certain operators take higher precedence over others. For example, the multiplication operator has higher precedence than the addition operator. For example, int x equals 4 plus 3 times 2, console.writeLine, parentheses x. Well, we are not going to do the 4 plus 3 part first. We're going to do the 3 times 2 part first because multiplication is more important. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 4 equals 10, and it outputs 10. The program evaluates 3 times 2 first and then adds the result to 4. As in mathematics, using parentheses alters operator precedence. So in this case, if we had int x equals, in parentheses 4 plus 3, and then times 2, then when we have console.writeLine, parentheses x, we're going to add the 4 plus 3 first, which is 7, times 2 is 14. So that particular scenario outputs 14. The operations within parentheses are performed first. If there are parenthetical expressions nested within one another, the expression within the innermost parentheses is evaluated first. If none of the expressions are in parentheses, multiplicative, which is multiplication, division, or modulus, operators will be evaluated before addition, subtraction. Operators of equal precedence are evaluated from left to right. Fill in the missing parentheses to have x equal 15. So here we have int x equals 2 plus 3 in parentheses times 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So when we get to console.writeLine, parentheses x, x is going to equal 15. Assignment operators. The equal sign assignment operator assigns the value on the right side of the operator to the variable on the left side. C# also provides compound assignment operators that perform an operation and an assignment in one statement. For example, int x equals 42, x plus equals 2, that's equal to that's equivalent to x equals x plus 2, which would be 42 plus 2 is 44. And then the next statement, x minus equals 6, well, that's equivalent to x equals x minus 6. So if x was originally 42, and then by adding another 2, it went up to 44, if we take 44 and subtract 6, we're going to get 38. What is the alternative for x equals x plus 5? It's x plus equals 5. Assignment operators. The same shorthand syntax applies to the multiplication, division, and modulus operators. So x times equals 8 is equivalent to x equals x times 8. And x divide equals 5 is equivalent to x equals x divided by 5. And finally, x modulus equals 2 is equal to x equals x modulus 2. Fill in the missing part of the following code to divide x by 3 using the shorthand division operator. So we start off with int x equals 42. We want to x divide equals 3. So that means x equals x divided by 3. Increment operator. The increment operator is used to increase an integer's value by 1 and is a commonly used C# operator. X plus plus is equivalent to x equals x plus 1. For example, int x equals 10, x plus plus, console.writeLine x in parentheses. So x starts off as 10, then it goes up by 1, which makes it 11. And so when you do the right line, you're going to get an output of 11. What is the output of this code? Int x equals 6, x plus plus, console.writeLine, parentheses x. Should give us 7. Prefix and postfix forms. The increment operator has two forms, prefix and postfix. Plus plus x is the prefix form, and x plus plus is the postfix form. Prefix increments the value and then proceeds with the expression, while postfix evaluates the expression and then performs the incrementing. So we've got this example, int x equals 3, int y equals plus plus x. Well, x is originally 3. When you use plus plus x, it means we're incrementing 3 immediately, which turns it into 4, and then we assign it to y. So x is 4 and y is 4. The postfix example, on the other hand, is int x equals 3, int y equals x plus plus. So on the right-hand side of the equal sign, we are looking at the x first, not the plus signs first, the x first. The x before the pluses is 3. So y will be 3. At that point, when that second statement is over with, the x will then, at that point, increment up from 3 to 4. So then when we test for x and y, x will be 4 and y will be 3. The prefix example increments the value of x and then assigns it to y, and the postfix example assigns the value of x to y and then increments x. What's the difference between plus plus x and x plus plus? Select all that apply. The plus plus x uses x's value before incrementing it. That's false. The x plus plus increments x's value before using it. That's not true. x plus plus uses x's value and then increments it. That's true. And plus plus x increments x's value before using it. And that's true. Decrement operator. The decrement operator works in much the same way as the increment operator, but instead of increasing the value, it decreases it by 1. So you have minus minus x for the prefix and x minus minus for the postfix. Fill in the missing operator to decrease the value of x by 1. Int x equals 42. X, if I can open it, x minus minus, console.writeLine x. Module 1 quiz. Rearrange the code to create a valid program. We want our static void main string args execution statement first. We want to create a variable string message equals hello. Set it to the string hello. And then lastly, we want to use console.writeLine to write out the value of MSG. And then we have our final closing curly brace. So this should be the right arrangement, and it is. Drag and drop from the options below to display the value of x to the screen. Static void main string args, and in that block, in that curly brace block, we have int x equals 4 plus 3 in parentheses times 2, and we want to write that out. So we have console.writeLine parentheses x. What is the output of this code? Int a equals 4, int b equals 6, b equals a plus plus. So let's look at the right-hand side of that, b equals a plus plus, the right-hand side of that equal sign. A plus plus means the value of a first before you add 1. The value of a first is 4. So the value of 4 is going to be assigned to b. So then we have 4 equal to b at this point. Then we have console.writeLine and in parentheses plus plus b. Well, at this time we are going to increment it, which is 4. It's going to increment to 5 and then be used with the console.writeLine. So our answer should be 5, and it is. Fill in the blanks to declare two variables of type int and display their sum to the screen. Int x equals 8, int y equals 15, console.writeLine x plus y. What is the output of this code? Int x equals 15, int y equals 6, x modulus equals y. So that means x equals x modulus y. X modulus y means 15 modulus y, which means 15 divided by 6. 15 divided by 6 is 3. No, is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 15 minus 12 is 3. 3 is the remainder. So if x is the remainder of 15 divided by 6, then the console.writeLine parentheses x should give us 3. Oops. And we're right. Okay, we're going on 40 minutes here. I've finished the basic concepts. The next part will be conditionals and loops.